Thank you, Reverend Sharpton and National Action Network, for inviting me to speak with you all today in celebration of NAN's 30th anniversary in the fight for justice. Your leadership cuts across many different and intersecting policy areas, including pressing telecommunications and tech policy issues. Today's session is properly titled Broadband Access, the Civil Right We Cannot Afford to Lose. To that I say, I could not agree more. This notion was first articulated by the late Congressman John Lewis, who said, and I quote, "Access to the internet is the civil rights issue of the 21st century," close quote. For millions of Americans across this country, the barrier to full participation in this digital age is access to an affordable broadband connection. Black people and other people of color in America are still, by a wide margin, significantly less likely to have a home broadband connection than their counterparts. This simply cannot stand. Communities of color constitute a smoldering front on the digital divide. Our communities' access to economic opportunity, education, healthcare, and personal connections are all at stake if we fail to act with urgency to bridge this digital divide. Now is the time. NAACP President Derek Johnson and I recently published an op-ed where we highlighted how the digital divide is inextricably linked to economic opportunity. It is clear that access to affordable, reliable broadband will be a critical element of how we build back our economy for those searching for jobs or seeking out opportunities to gain new skills for those jobs of the future and our future economy. Additionally, as businesses owned by people of color struggle to stay afloat during this time of uncertainty, broadband is needed to help these companies, pillars of black neighborhoods across this nation, respond to a moment that is increasingly dependent on online services. We must also focus on ensuring that our youngest learners can thrive in a remote learning environment. According to reports, black students may fall, on average, 10.3 months behind in their schoolwork, and low-income students have the potential to fall behind by more than a year. I recently met with a number of middle school students from the Brenda Scott Academy in Detroit, Michigan. They shared their dreams with me, but they also spoke candidly about both the successes and challenges of their experiences with online learning during this public health crisis. One 8th grader said plainly to me that she needed a better internet. I could not agree more. This pandemic has shown us that we also need a better internet to access healthcare from our homes. We have seen ample evidence that telehealth has made an enormous difference in our nation's pandemic response, particularly for low-income Americans. Telehealth increases patients' access to specialists, including critically mental health providers. Telehealth can further mitigate challenges like travel and health conditions that keep people from seeing doctors and will reduce costs. Telehealth is here to stay. The benefits of those services can only be seen if households have access to that home broadband connection they need. Lastly, and this cannot be stated enough, broadband allows us to build and nourish those bonds with family and friends and members of our community, both near and far. Holidays, pre-K graduations, birthday celebrations have all moved online. And like many, my family has moved to attending church services online. Zoom church is what my 5-year-old likes to call it. But there's more. Without internet access, folks cannot take advantage of online voter registration in 40 states and D.C. or request mail-in ballots online. These issues go to the core of our civic participation. I am glad to say that help is on the way for our low-income Americans who are struggling during this economic crisis as well. Late last year, Congress passed omnibus appropriations and emergency coronavirus relief legislation, which funded a new $3.2 billion emergency broadband benefit for low-income families, which will connect households, especially those with school-age children, to broadband networks at affordable rates. Broadband providers will be reimbursed up to $50 each month per low-income household they serve, and reimbursed up to $100 for providing that household with a connected device, like a computer or tablet, if the household also contributes to that device. We need everyone's help to ensure we get the word out so that this program can penetrate deeply into our community. If we're successful, the emergency broadband benefit will reach more disconnected, low-income people and households of color than any previous FCC effort to close the digital divide. And with that, let me wrap up. This pandemic has presented us with an unparalleled opportunity to fight for equity and justice. I'm hopeful that we will look back at this moment, this very moment, and be reminded that this was the turning point in making real the process of bridging the digital divide and the opportunity divide. Thank you again, Reverend Sharpton and National Action Network team. I look forward to the rest of today's conversation. Thank you.